Welcome back to the First Last podcast from the First, the Last, the Nerdum, where we spend our summers the same way any reasonable people would by diving headfirst into the minds of killers, madmen, and deeply disturbed. Welcome to PsychoSummer. All month long, we're exploring films centered on obsession, madness, murder, and darkness, and the darkness lurking beneath the surface of everyday life. And this week, we're taking a look at one of the most influential serial killer films ever made, 1995 thriller Seven, directed by David Fincher and starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Spacey. Seven follows two detectives as they hunt a killer whose crimes are inspired by the seven deadly sins. What begins as grisly murder investigation quickly spirals into something far more disturbing, forcing both detectives and the audience to confront the uglier side of human nature. Dark, rain-soaked, and relentless, grim. Seven helped redefine the modern crime thriller. Its atmosphere is unforgettable, its performances are iconic, and its ending remains one of the most talked about finales in movie history. We'll be discussing the film's legacy, its influence on the serial killer genre, and why, more than 30 years later, it still has the power to shock, disturb, and fascinate audiences. So grab your detective notebooks, avoid any mysterious cardboard boxes, and prepare to descend into the darkness. This is the First Last podcast, and Psycho Summer begins with Seven.
Yes, it does, Tom. Excellent, excellent intro. I am Enel, and Tom, as you alluded to, this is our show, First Last Pod, and we are going to get into here. But first, we got to pay some bills, and we took a week off. We had a little thing. I was busy at work. You were busy at work, and it's summer, and we got to do what we got to do. So sometimes you run out of anyway. FirstLastNerdum.com. You can also find us home base on YouTube at First Last Nerdum. Go check out our last series of the Originals month. This week starts our new Psycho Summer series, and stay tuned because we also have some for Hot July as well. But we might get into that. We might tease a little bit later. We might have a special thing for you.
Yeah. If you're dying from the heat, we got some killers for you this summer.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And Tom, what's going on over there on the Reddit? Something or other?
Oh, I'm there as First Last Nerdum, trying to promote her stuff. Sometimes the Reddit gods deem me unworthy and strike down my post, but sometimes they get through. So if you're coming over from there, hello. But yeah, I'm also on X under the same First Last Nerdum. I try to post the latest and greatest of our post, but also whenever I find something of note, I'll post it. Like Mikey No More on YouTube did a wonderful, very funny spotlight on Lolcal Sticks Hexenhammer. If you don't know who he is, go ahead and give it a click. It's a very entertaining, even if you don't know him, because that documentary gives a very good history of him. And yes. Mike, I think you have some socials as well.
I do. I too am also on X at SophieKingJewish_, where you can find me and Tom. Occasionally, we will strike a chord and talk about it. This summer is hot and awesome for movies. I just told Tom what movies I had caught up with, but I am a man astride a donkey turned the wrong way, and that leads us into Seven. Now, I like to ask you, because typically, and sometimes me, but I like to ask Tom, when you first saw Seven, had you, even if you had just heard about the ending, do you think that it was Brave, or do you think it was Fincher, or what? Or did you see it in theater? I know you're our resident Fincher expert and fan. What I did not go to the theater to see this movie. I saw it years later, sadly, but I did see it, so I don't have too much history with it. But how about you, Tom? I know I always fascinated by your history with the films that you watch.
Yeah, I think my one of my buddies in college was a big fan of music videos, and he knew about directors of music videos. So he was excited when David Fincher did the Alien 3 or Cubed, however you want to say it, and he was excited about it and got me excited about it. So, but I was very let down by that movie. It wasn't. Didn't really hit the spot for me. So I came to Seven. I think I remember there was a buzz about it, that it was good and really dark, and I was kind of fascinated that they got Nine Inch Nails to do the little intro song during the opening credits. So I was it felt edgy and something that what Alien 3 promised. It felt like Seven was going to deliver on it, and I did go to the theaters to see it, and I remember falling in love with the movie. And yes, I didn't know the ending when I saw it. So, and we are going to get into spoilers. It's a very old movie, and if we were talking about a more obscure movie, we would probably hesitate to spoil the ending. But needless to say, I think both Mike and I would recommend this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead. It's on Tubi. You can watch it for free, and then jump back and enjoy our conversation about it. But yeah, it's been one of those movies that I've always loved. I got it on DVD. I got it on Blu-ray. I got it on 4K when it came out. So yeah. Oh, you're muted, Mike.
This guy had a cough the other day. Anyway, I remember seeing the cover. Like it's very iconic, and back in those days, like when you go to Blockbuster or whatever, like they would prominently display the movie art, and you kind of get to you get used to seeing some of that. But this was in '95, right? Yeah, 95, and you had Forrest Gump. And then you had that won the best picture the year before. You had Pulp Fiction, was indie and cool and this stuff and this and you even got a sermon with it to a certain degree. If you know, you know. But David Fincher was 33. He's young buck, and he like you said, he made Alien 3, and didn't he hate it?
Yeah. He said
did not like it.
He said
the studio just destroyed his.
Yeah, after the experience of that, he said he'd rather get colon cancer than direct another movie.
he looked like he was going to swear off filmmaking for a long while. Mm-hmm. But
got my boomer juice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I already cracked my unsweet tea here earlier. The summer of summer classic. For me, anyway, ice cold tea would be better, but we do what we can. But he was coming off of that, and then he read this amazing screenplay.
Yes, from Andrew Kevin Walker, who it's basically based on his experiences in moving to New York during the '80s. He moved from a rural area to New York, and the New York during the '80s was a little bit extreme, and he saw various crimes and depravity on the streets of New York, and it really kind of tortured his spirits. And in Seven was what came out from that, and he got bounced around all over the place. And it got rewrote, and a lot of people had problems with the ending. That the ending that's in the movie is what the original script had. And when Fincher, they came to Fincher to maybe direct this, they accidentally gave him the original script, and with the original ending, he got very excited about it. He really wanted to do the movie because of the ending. And he went to the producer, and he goes, oh man, I really like the ending of the movie. And he goes, what ending? And he said, oh, the head in the box. And he goes, oh, we sent you the wrong one. We need to get you the newest script. And he goes, oh well, if the original script was this good, how the next the refined one is going to be even more amazing. And then he read it, and it's like, oh, it's just a regular thriller now.
Yeah, and He saw something that he agreed with. I think that's true, which was that the worldview of this movie is that the world is so corrupt that
Hmm.
the only rational response is sadness.
Yeah,
And he agreed with that because it resonated with him,
yeah,
regardless,
yeah.
and it's what caused this to go further.
Right, yeah, he said, I'll only do this movie if we have retain the original ending to it. And when he brought Brad Pitt on, Pitt said, yeah, I'll only do this if we do the actual ending to it. And of course, the studio kind of dragged their feet, hemmed and hawed during the whole thing, and basically, Fincher finally said to the producers, "Okay, this script is legendary because it's known as the head in the box script." And everybody, when they talk about it, they said the head in the box script. So you're going to try to take the head in the box out of the head in the box movie. Does that make sense to you? It's like, yeah, when you put it that way, yeah, you're taking what's special about it out of this movie. And one of the things that I really kind of doing sort of my research on this, there's this passion to this movie. Walker had this passion to get out on the page, even though it was a dark passion. This passion to get out these emotions that he was experiencing living in New York, and Fincher had this passion to bring this vision to the screen, and Brad Pitt had the passion to fight for the vision of this movie, and Freeman and everybody that worked on it. Their drive was to make the best movie they could. There's like this, and that's the movies I love. I don't like the movies by committee. Let's the what's kind of became the Marvel movie. You have to have the little bit of funny, you have the little bit of action, you have to have the big action scene at the end. It's sort of like a paint by numbers movie that just kind of gets cobbled together. This movie was written on the edge and with a passion that is like, damn it, I'm going to write the movie that I want to see.
Yeah, well, whatever Andrew Walker was going through when he created the film script, I believe that he was working as a courier in a town block, or a tower, yeah, tower block. So like the
No,
city.
he was working at Tower Records.
Excuse me, Tower Records, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I had that tangled in my. Anyway. But no, but regardless, though, the city isn't really named, and it's kind of just a
Yeah.
generic thing. But you don't really need a name to the city, and this
Hmm.
is like one of those. And again, I love this movie from several different directions. Like aside from Fincher, we share that we share that in common with us. But also, it does very excellent world building. It 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 also lets things breathe too. So
Hmm.
you get set in, and just as you get set in, something happens, and then you get pulled in a little bit further, just like one of the main detectives he's ready to retire and be done and go on and whatever, and uh, mm, just when you thought you were out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah,
Not like that. It's mellow drag, but
right. Yeah, there's a lot of cliches in the movie, but it kind of twists them and put them on the head. You got the gruff, yeah, like I said, detective that
right.
it's his last case, whatever, last mission. You got this young upstart guy that's starry eyed, wants to make his impression on the world. You've seen that movie before, but this movie make sure that it's different this time. It's a little bit more real. It's got a little bit more edge to it. You the gruff detective. He's not the funny guy. He's the very thoughtful guy. He's actually, you look at it, Brad Pitt, he's got the name, he's got the looks, but I feel the movie, the star and the focus of this movie is Morgan Freeman's character. He's the
Mhm.
guy that we follow through it. He goes through it. He's trying to make his peace with the world. He's in a world of chaos, and he's trying to find a balance. He's trying to find David Mills. He's trying to find meaning to the world. And he's when he goes to sleep, he's got his little metronome there, kind of try to make that he can focus on that noise instead of the noise outside of his apartment. And his dream, his dream is to have that farmhouse. And actually, the movie was actually they weren't able to get the money to shoot it, but the beginning of the movie was supposed to be him, seeing and kind of looking at the farmhouse that he's going to buy, and he gets a little scrap of the wallpaper and he takes that back with him. So it's sort of like his journey from this peaceful farmhouse back into the city, and you get to see the contrast. But unfortunately, they didn't get to film that. So instead, they had the money to do the opening. And they used that to be a little bit more avant-garde and kind of edgy. And you got Nine Inch Nails that did the music, and they had this guy put together the whole little montage that they do that kind of gives you a glimpse into the mind of the killer, John Doe, and you see how chaotic, and that really kind of puts you on the edge and kind of sets you up for the chaotic nature of what you're going to be seeing.
Yeah, well, you get, like you say, you get inside John Doe's mind before we even know who he is or what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Somerset, which is Morgan Freeman's character, and
Mm-hmm.
he's, like I said, he's close to retirement. It's just there, and you have this sense of this. Just not only is this movie overlaid with just the opposite of hope. I mean, just despair. But it's all you can also feel the weariness
Mm-hmm.
in these
Yeah.
characters. Even in the young buck who's coming in, he's young and brash, which is Mills, which we'll get to.
No, Mills
But
is Freeman. No, yeah, Mills is Brad Pitt. Sorry,
right,
and
yeah, yeah.
Somerset is Freeman.
Yeah,
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 sorry.
yeah. Opposite is him, and he's young and brash and bold, and and he still believes. And whereas Morgan Freeman, he's more of like a about that, But anyway,
Yeah.
I'll throw it back to you to see where
Yeah,
you
and
want to.
it's interesting because you would think they would clash and kind of yell at each other, but they don't. Brad does Mills does his share of yelling and screaming, but I like how Somerset is more of a kind of a he's trying to find the balance. He's got to do it in more even tone with him, and it's like he's he's kind of he doesn't want to be saddled with this guy. He doesn't want the he's tired of this sort of he doesn't want to see the maybe the brighter side of the world. He's kind of done with it. He wants to go off
Right.
on his own. So he really doesn't want to deal with the Brad Pitt character. But if he has to, he's trying to impart some wisdom to the guy. But he's almost like he knows it's lost cause, but he feels like once he's kind of saddled with the weight of it, he kind of has to push through, and I kind of understand that because we've all been through those situations. Like, well, it's probably not going to amount to much, but yeah, let's go ahead and go in and see what we can do. Once you get those ties, once you're saddled with the case, you just kind of have to go through it. And once you're saddled with it, you've got to give it your all, or you give nothing. But yeah, that's I really love that about his character. Also, it was filmed in L.A., which is kind of crazy. I forgot that was shot in L.A. Doesn't look like L.A. They went to the the older parts of LA that kind of
Right.
looks, could have looked like anything, again, it was filmed, set, it was written in New York, but yeah, like you said, it was kind of no name city, but they wanted kind of that darker look to it, and they wanted to avoid any location that was shot on, the TV show Columbo, they didn't want any people to go, oh, I saw that building in Columbo, so they kind of had to go through and kind of look for the seedier parts of LA and kind of the rundown sort of get that look, and they shot it pretty much almost all while it was raining, which gives it a definite look to it. Fincher said he wanted a black and white film, a color black and white film. and it's got that film noir quality to it. There's like
It
these
does.
deep rich blacks, and I love this movie. A lot of the movies today are really dark, and they're dark without sometimes it's hard to see things. And this movie is dark, and people complain about this movie being dark. But as long as you got a good TV and you set your contrast and brightness the right way,
Huh.
you see everything. The way they
Yeah.
filmed it, it is black. They wanted to, Brad Pitt wears this black jacket, overcoat, and it's so black. He wanted it black. You see it so that that if you're seeing it in the theater, the black borders around the film, it should match. He said he hated Alien 3 because the way they filmed it so thin that even the blacks on it you could see you could see through the darkness. He wanted the dark to be dark, but you can still see things in it. There's a real nice contrast to it. You can make out anytime, even though you've got these really dark corners and whatnot. You have these real nice depth and contrast in it. It's not a flat movie, and I think the rain
No.
kind of adds to the texture of everything, and it just looks amazing, and
Well,
it looks amazing on the 4K. I'll talk about it a
well,
little bit later, but yeah.
well. This movie isn't afraid to play with types, and that's okay. You can get away with doing that if you have something to say. If you don't have something to say, and you try to do types or you try to repeat cliche things, people see it like it stands out and it takes away from what's going on the screen, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be slipped in along the lines of it. So it has that heavy noir energy, but again, it's not really around a central spot other than like just the city is just part of the scenery, like part of that. So where they go in and out, it has that classic, kind of that noir feeling, and it has kind of you know William Somerset did. He is not, he's tired, he's not cynical, he's just done. He's resigned, like, whereas Brad Pitt thinks that he's the new guy. He thinks that he kind of has an attitude of like a veteran, like he's seen it, done it, and that might be true for some things, but it's not true. It's not the full complete picture that you get, like the mask that you put on. And because they also kind of put on the I'll pause there. 'Cause I don't want to get into too deep, but again, the world building in this is phenomenal, and as far as the darkness goes, like, I was fine with it. Like, this is nowhere near as dark as like super dark movies are today. Like, where it's like, unless you have like the finest OLED micro LED whatever, something that can do whatever, it's like I can't see what's going on. It's like kind of like I would be more criticized, like a Nolan, like Batman, like where it's just black, it's all dark all the time. It's like, come on, it's not
Yeah.
that bad, but no, I didn't get, and well, Fincher knows how to use textures and layers and colors to display a
Yeah.
mood anyway. Whether it's visually or whether it's not, the soundtrack, or whether it's this or that, he knows how to layer them into, like, where it's adds to the cumulative total of what you get and what you see, and how it lays out. It wears you down, but in a
Yeah.
good way, because you're coming in and knowing, getting
Yeah,
to know the what's going on amongst everything else. Yeah, anyway.
yeah, and Fincher is very obsessed with getting a scene or look right. There's a scene right after they meet in Mills and Somerset, and they're driving and having a conversation in the car while it's raining, and they got Brad Pitt's side perfect, but for a reason, when they were filming the side with Freeman, the lights and the rain and the buildings just wasn't up to Fincher's standards. And so they kept refilming that over and over, actually all through the filming of the movie, because he couldn't get it quite right until he finally did, and it just took the whole thing. So yeah, he's not above doing a scene 100 times if he doesn't feel like he's got it. Speak on the influences of this movie. Walker said that he was somewhat inspired by the movie Manhunter, the
Mm,
book, which is based off the book by Thomas Harris. That
mhm.
came before Silence of the Lambs, but yeah, he was very much influenced by that. And then, and oddly enough, he had that script kind of floating around. And then when Silence of the Lambs came out, and was nominated for Academy Award and all that, he thought, well, yeah, no, now the audience is ready for a movie like Seven, and it's going to get made. Finally going to get made, and it took a few more years after that. But yeah, it kind of ushered in, and also David Fincher, while filming this, he was very much influenced by the movie Clute, which is about a killer. I haven't seen it. Which it made me just him talking about it and talking about Seven and rewatching Seven made me really interested in seeing Clute, see what inspired Fincher and what he was wanting to go for. Um, but yeah, and also talking about cliches of this movie, I kind of call this a checklist movie. It's a movie where you have a it's kind of preset. You've got seven deadly sins, so you got seven killings to happen at least. So you have to and you're mentally ticking them off while you're watching the movie. You go, hey, you got this one, you got this one, and in other movies, and I don't usually like those type of movies because you get more focused on the little checklist as opposed to what's going on with the movie. But this movie kind of puts it on its head. It keeps constantly taking your expectation of a movie and spinning it around because towards with the third act, the John Joe shows up and you still got two killings to go.
Right.
What's going on here, and it just kind of throws you off kilter. And that's the point, of the script, to kind of throw you off and kind of throw you off base and go, okay, oh wow, okay, we're off script now. What's going to happen now? And this movie, the way it kind of constantly surprised you is one of the things that really made me love this movie and made me realize, at that time I was more of a horror, sci-fi, fantasy guy, and I was kind of, and with like say Pulp Fiction, it kind of, and Reservoir Dogs, it kind of made me want to experiment more with my movie watching, get out there and see maybe more of these independent movies and stranger movies and genres that maybe I wouldn't normally watch. And I think Seven has even though it's a thriller, I think some of the thriller people, maybe it's more intense than they normally like for a thriller movie, and it's got a lot of horror fans that love it.
Well, Silence of the Lambs. If you want to do a slight kind of sort of in and out comparison, that had charisma. Like
Mm-hmm.
whereas like Seven, there is no charisma. It's just nihilism. I mean, it's really winds out on how far we were talking about how dark the movie is, like contrast, but also the tone is just absolutely dreadful. I mean, as you
Yeah.
get into it, and that's partially backed by, Somerset's kind of seen it and done it all, and he wants to move on, and Mills to a certain degree, he doesn't necessarily play the green behind the ears, bright and go up and coming, go get them kind of type, because he's a little bit more worn in than that, but he still thinks that that thing something can be done about
Mm-hmm.
this world that they're in. And then we start to go through and we start to see these things, as you alluded to before, we start to see the list get checked off. and
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of see it gets every, it's like one thing, like when you kind of come into the scene and you kind of see like how the murder occurs, and then you kind of see the elaborateness in it, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like what the hell? Like it's not just it's not a gross movie or something like that. It's that it's around it. It's the cruelty that's implied with some of the acts. And there's also kind of this point too, like where depending upon, like there's also commentary too on, is there, how much moral, you know, would you feel for a some certain of the people are innocent and victims, and some of them aren't, depending upon your point of view. Certainly, the killer has a certain
Right.
point of view that's very judgmental. I'll just leave it that way. I mean, it's not really surprising
Yeah,
anything, but
it plays around with and asks questions, moral questions that yeah, it's not afraid to to test the boundaries, and maybe yeah, it makes you think, and then that's one of the wonderful things about this movie is there's that like a constant dialogue between Somerset and Mills and their points of view, and both are valid to a degree, and then also John Doe gets mixed in with it and his views, and and you're kind of bouncing back and forth, and you go, oh, you got a point there, and oh no, you got a point there, and it really it kind of drags you down. A lot of times a movie you could kind of watch it from a distance. Action movie you could just enjoy the explosions on the screen, but this movie really makes you kind of drags you in and makes you feel and think, and that first crime scene with Gluttony, that really kind of rips off the Band-Aid the way they talked about it. The set looked pretty, it looks pretty gross on the screen. The way they filmed it, it was pretty gross. They had a little platform where the guy was, and he was a heavy set guy, but he had all these prosthetics and all this stuff that was on him, and he's face down in spaghetti, and he had these tubes to breathe through, and they had all these cans of tomato soup open, and they addressed it a few days ago, and everything was starting to smell, and it was just kind of awful kind of stuff. I think they said one of the producers came through and looked around and smells like, oh, well, I'll leave you guys to this, and got out of there. And they said, and Fincher said when Morgan Freeman came on set that day, he goes, he gave him a look and kind of aside us like, oh yeah, this is what we're gonna be doing. But yeah, he said he was a trooper. He didn't. That's all he did. But yeah, you could tell he wasn't real happy on that day. But the thing is, and then they later bring him to Gluttony to do the autopsy, and he said, if we're going to make this guy go through all of that, hours of being face down in spaghetti, let's give him a big dick. So he's laid out there. Let make sure he had a big dick.
yeah. I was going to say too, the when you come on the scene, yeah, it's gross, and that he's seen everything that Somerset has, and he's shaken by what he sees, but but because of like what's implied, like because this was a ritual. Something else happened here. This was rehearsed. This was planned. This was not normal. This is not your normal Tuesday murder victim or whatever. And then you start to see the painting be revealed as each piece goes. Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, I agree with you. The dialogue between both of them, the old veteran and the young buck, like you have this, and every time you kind of stepping down a ladder too, and then by the time John Doe is introduced, Kevin Spacey character, you're already so far below you can't even see the sunlight anymore. I mean, you're it's really,
and oddly enough, that's when the sun comes out. When John Doe shows up, it stops raining. It's a bright day, and he walks out of
really
the cab.
With you. Yeah.
He turns himself in. And, it's we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, I love how it's constantly bucking against your expectations, and I love that you got the older cop, you got the younger cop. Yeah, we know, we've seen this before. It's a buddy cop movie. No, it's not. It's these guys are barely. They don't even like each other at the beginning. And Mills is probably more receptive. He wants to be the guy's friend, and Somerset's like pushing him away. He's like, nope, I don't think so. This isn't going to work. But yeah, it kind of oddly enough kind of reminded me, and totally different things, but similar. Homicide: Life on the Streets. We covered that TV series a while back on Bingeworthy. Check it out. But yeah, it kind of has that. With that show, it was Tim Bayliss coming in, kind of a rookie. He kind of jumped ahead to become a detective, and he gets exposed to the harsh nature of Baltimore, and his reluctant partner. Doesn't like him either, and there's kind of that friction there. But yeah, and it has that kind of reality. So at times, this movie kind of reminded me of that. Both equally amazing shows, and both different unto themselves, but the real quality stuff. And I will say that Morgan Freeman is amazing in this.
Oh man.
And it's like he started out in like electric company, and he said it in the commentary that he kind of got tired of doing electric company. You got to get stuck in that.
Sure.
And even though he goes, I taught kids to read, and people would come later when they were adults to say, hey, I really loved your electric company. He goes, you get a little pride there, but as an actor, you're not rewarded by doing that, as far as truly acting. And maybe he just had it age a little bit, but he works. Like I said, Fincher said, in that movie where he's the Freeman's the president. You buy that. You go, yeah, I can see him as the president.
Well, everybody in this movie did their best. I mean, I don't know that there was like one bad thing, and you that's underlined too by the fact that like I believe that Kevin Spacey did not take like full on wages that he could have gotten with this movie because he believed in the character and the film and the movie.
Well, they couldn't afford him at the beginning, and I don't know if he took a cut or not, but I know that Brad Pitt fought to have him in it.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe they kind of worked something out, but yeah, at the time, yeah, he was. They kept looking, and actually, Lee Ermey, the guy who plays the police chief, actually tried out for John Doe, and they said he was pretty intense, and he wasn't likable as a killer from the test, and then whereas even though he's a despicable guy, there's an attraction to you want to know who this guy is when it's played by Kevin Spacey, where you didn't get that from Ermey. So, but as a constellation, they go, "You want to play the police chief?" And he goes, "Yeah, okay."
Right.
He does a damn good job as the police chief. I like him in that. He's former military, so he's got that rigidness about him. Yeah, I always enjoy see R. Lee Ermey in things.
Oh yeah, well well again. This is like one of the things that you don't expect, but you you get this in this wonderful movie. But you don't even see. Because speaking of Kevin Spacey, you don't even see you don't see him for the first half of the film, like to the first hour.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's done deliberately to build that pacing and layer up the dread and also
Right.
the kind of sort of like maybe maybe we're playing with maybe there's something else here and we're gonna crack there there's always kind of like a like this illusion that there's a case to crack. I'll put it that way. And I'll stop there and I'll see.
Yeah, and then there's in the movie, like in real life, the detectives show up after the actions happen. So, for the most part in this movie, there's they're showing up, after everything's happened. So, there's not a lot of action scenes in this movie. One of the big ones is towards the middle, where they kind of figure out where John Doe lives, and they go to check it out, and he is there. And he shoots at him, and it turns into this big chase scene. But they didn't want it to be like a regular chase scene. And Brad Pitt was the one that, put the idea to Fincher's mind that, hey, when you see a regular chase scene, the police chasing the guy always seems to know where the guy is. They got a prescient mind that they know where he's running to, and he wanted that to be more realistic. In that, if you're chasing a guy with a gun, you're not going barreling around corners and
Blindly, right?
yeah, blindly, and so yeah, he wanted to be ducking and checking, and then it's kind of reflected in the shooting of it. The cinematographer said it was deliberate that they do it handheld, and the producers were like, I don't know how that's going to look, but it's very shaky handheld footage of both Freeman and Pitt during that, because they're frantic, trying to figure out where the guy's running, whereas the killer is more steady cam, and he's more deliberate in his pace. Is almost like he knows what he's doing, and it gives it that tension to it. And in fact, and Pitt wanted to do all of his actions, and
Of course he would. Yeah.
and then when he gets onto the street, he wanted to run across some cars. A la, it really gives you Blade Runner vibes during that, especially with the rain and him getting knocked down by the killer. But there's a scene where one of the takes, he's running across the cars and he slips and crashes through the windshield of the car, and he actually didn't get hurt when he fell through it, but when he was getting out of it, he put his arm up and sliced open his arm, and he came up to Fincher's like, I think think I had a little bit of accident, and he showed, and like, and Fincher said he saw bone, and he's like, oh god.
Oh
so,
no.
so he was out for about a week, and he had a big cast, and they kind of worked it into the script. After that, you see him with the cast, and there's certain scenes earlier that they filmed, after the accident, where there's a scene where, this collar is like real thick because of his shirt, because it's part of his part of his
Yeah.
smaller cast, and you see that hand is like purple from
Oh man.
the pressure kind of holding it in. But yeah, it's if you look, you can see that in there. But yeah, they kind of worked around it, and it's not too obvious that happened. So, but yeah, and then obviously at the end of that scene, the killer one ups Mills, but he has a chance to kill him, but he doesn't. And that I really like. It really kind of puts you like why did he let him live?
Right.
And but yeah, and it kind of plays to your questions. It amplifies it later because how much of it is orchestrated. Does he have it all planned out? He's a John Doe's a religious person, kind of a twisted religious person.
Well,
Did he think that it would all kind of work out? That it's like, okay, how much was premeditated as opposed to chance? The
right,
fact that
reacting.
right, the fact that he targeted Mills's wife, was that opportunity, opportunity that was too good to give up, or how far in advance had he planned all of this? You know.
Right, right, right. Well, it goes to the Kevin Spacey character, John Doe. Like he actually believes in what he's
Right.
like.
Yeah.
What he's very serious about the Bible and about these how he sees it and about Dante and reading Milton and quoting all these things and talking about this is what this is about, and it's like this guy's not, you just want to kind of throw him in the dustbin and call him mad or crazy or whatever. It's like not quite that easy, just because of the how lucid all of these murders are. and then
Unlike.
and then when you go back and you see how they're set up and why and this and that, you don't even know who the killer is at first. So then when you do meet him and then you're introduced into this kind of his world or whatever, you get well, I'll throw it back to you because it sounded like you had something to say.
I was gonna say, Mike, he's a nutbag. Just because the fucker's got a library card doesn't make him Yoda.
Yeah, well, that's the scary part is like he believes that it's just like where Silence of the Lambs, like Hannibal is just superior. He's just better than us, in his mind's eye, like whereas like this guy. This guy's swinging for the fences for other reasons to make a fucking point, and that point is very well made, whether you like it or not. I mean, it's just kind of stripping down the last. You don't know, but there's a countdown that starts with this movie very obviously from the start to the very end, and depending upon what you want to put that countdown toward, there you go. Like that's where it heads anyway. But
yeah, and I love how the Somerset character he's very thoughtful, methodic. He's figuring out. He's a match for John Doe as far as intelligence. He goes to the library. It's very much a '95 movie. There's not very many computers. There's a lot of it's a lot of legwork. It's go to the library, xeroxing stuff off, and just kind of looking through, and Mills. He tries to help out Mills and gives him some literature to read. And Mills tries to take the shortcut and read the Cliff Notes. And the fact that most people don't know what Cliff Notes are now. I saw those little yellow books with the little black spines on it. It was like, oh yeah, I remember those.
What do you mean an AI will give me a summary of everything that I just read? What are you talking about? No, I remember that too. I also remember being told. Don't use though. You better not use though. You better not get caught using those. All this at the end of the day. But you just whatever. But
yeah. And I like the scene, even though it doesn't. It kind of slows things down, and but it really adds to the character of Freeman's Somerset when he goes to the library, and you have the. And you see those guards and the janitor guy. They're up there, playing poker, but then they put on the classical music, Bach, and you listen to that. And I love soaking in the atmosphere of that scene, and it kind of plays against Mills doing his own kind of research, but then ending up watching the basketball game instead. He's a little bit of a meathead, maybe a little bit of a he doesn't have, he hasn't kind of, I guess, settled down to the point. Would he ever become a Somerset? Who knows? Probably not, because he's kind of hot tempered, and maybe he would settle down. But yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing the contrast of the two. Yeah. And then kind of going through the kills. There's the Lust location. They said that they had where they go to the Wild Bill's sex shop. The set designer had to tone things down because it would have got a more of a NC-17 if he had his way of dressing that. But they said the Lust murder location was they found that basement area, and the ceilings were a little too high, so they kind of lowered the ceiling, and they covered the walls in wax to the point it was just kind of oozing. To where it had that kind of depravity, it just kind of was just, it just oozes kind of sleaze when you just look at that, and then there's when they get the hapless guy that the John Doe forces him to have sex with the woman and kill her with the apparatus that he has. The actor that plays that guy, he actually went with no sleep because he thought it would be better. And then before each scene, he would hyperventilate. But he went on no sleep, and then they pushed back his scene a day. So he had to go with no sleep for an additional day. And then, he would just kind of breathe and kind of hyperventilate himself to the point where he's sweating and could barely talk. And that's how he kind of did the scene. And it really gives you, it really pays off because there's that kind of frantic energy to his performance that, you really feel for the guy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's the thing that you're forced. The humanity is forced through, regardless of the. I mean, whether it's these two guys or whatever, just
Hmm.
the level of. That's kind of the point of like, even though you kind of you feel for the victims, but some of the victims, are they really a victim or not, kind of that. That's where the Jane Doe or the John Doe comes in with his little
Hmm.
nutbag moralizing, philosophizing, or whatever you want to call it. Like it's a classic, like oh, what a young Mills. Oh, the places you'll go.
Exactly.
Very young
Yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and then we're overlooking Mills's wife, played by
Gwyneth
Gwyneth
Paltrow.
Paltrow.
Yep.
Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah. Anyway, I was confusing with his later wife, Jennifer, whatever.
Aniston.
But
I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
One of them.
Paltrow. Yeah. So one of the criticisms of the movie is Paltrow's not in it that much, but I think it's economy. She's in pivotal scenes. She's got that scene with where she brings them kind of together.
Right.
Without her, they probably wouldn't have started making a bit of a friendship when she invites Somerset over. And and then later she has that scene with him and has that heart to heart because she doesn't know anyone else in the city, and there's that very poignant scene where they talk about whether or not she should keep the child or not, and it's kind of a gut wrenching scene, and you just kind of feel for both of them during that scene, just a powerhouse scene, and so I'm sure that's one of the reasons why she took the role, even though she's more of a smaller role. The scenes that she's in, it's very impactful, and
Well,
and obviously her presence is at the end, even though she's not there. It's very much there, and I posed the question: what more scenes could they really put in with her that would add anything more to it?
well, and to be friggin' blunt, this movie is not about hope. It's not. It's about despair, and it's about getting to that point, whether you realize it or not. So you can't be having the young detective's wife, with any kind of hope or whatever. It's gotta be the backdrop of something not great, or conflict, or whatever.
Hmm.
You can't have that, any of that, in this movie. Like, that's just not. It would not work. It would make her character look even. It would not do justice to how it played out, or how it's supposed to play out. But
Hmm.
um, still, she does, though, represent, kind of like uh, I don't know, like a last little bit of bastion of hope, or innocence,
Hmm.
or whatever you want to call it, or
Hmm.
just this is a very important woman, obviously, to, she's married
Yeah,
to
yeah, she's
Mills, and
that. Yeah, she's that.
like you said, the glue. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, she's that last bright light at the end, and yeah, when she gets stuffed out, it's like, okay, that's when you lose all hope, and the full effect of things. Yeah, and obviously, if you got spoiled on the ending, I feel for you. But yeah, when I was watching it for the first time, and
I
when
remember.
John Doe, shows up at the police station, you were like really thrown on your head, and it's like, what's going on here? He's turning himself in. What's going on? And then
Yeah.
he makes the deal of being driven out there, and and you're puzzling in your head. It's like, what's going on? What's going to be there? And you're used to it, to movies. You think there's going to be like something, some really diabolical way of he's going to get out of it, or whatever. Maybe a big action scene at the end,
High
and
stakes. Yeah.
yeah, high stakes. And again, they throw things on its head, and I love the. What really makes the movie for me is the three-way conversation in the police car
hmm
when they're
in
driving
the lead
out.
up. Yep.
Yeah, it's a
It's masterful.
masterful. Yeah, and say what you will about Kevin Spacey today. The fact
Like I
that
said, he's an excellent actor, regardless of whatever, the
right,
past is, it is what it is.
yeah,
But
right,
for this
and
movie, in this time, he was. You can't deny him.
Yeah, and he's playing a killer, and this kind of devious guy, and maybe he's drawing on some energy that he lives in the day to day. Hey, whatever. But yeah, whatever it is, there's
That's
this like
good.
kinetic, this kinetic energy with all three of them, and they kind of bring their A game. And one of the things that was kind of interesting in the commentary track, there's a one of them is a commentary track with Brad Pitt, David Fincher, and then they recorded some stuff with Freeman, but it was
Hmm.
separate. But with the part with Freeman and Pitt, they're together and they're having a conversation about the movie as it's playing. And in that scene, Pitt did some ADR on that because he didn't feel like he was kind of in that scene. He wasn't kind of bringing it, so to speak. What Spacey was kind of delivering his lines and really forceful, and he said that he felt like his character Mills, the way that he was acting was kind of reacting, but wasn't really pushing his side of it, and so he kind of re-recorded it to kind of give it a little bit more oomph, so to speak,
Hmm.
and he thinks he kind of messed that up, but I don't really see it. And Fincher said that when actors say that they don't get there or whatever, he doesn't always see what they're talking about. When there's like a back and forth and one doesn't bring it, so to speak. He says that maybe that's in the head of the actor or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I think they all kind of held their own. Pitt was coming off of Legends of the Fall.
Hmm.
He was kind of rebelling against being a sex symbol at that point. He didn't want that for himself, much like how Johnny Depp had kind of bucked against his
It's true.
his sex symbol vibe. So this was the movie that was going to prove that he's a real actor, and I really think that he kind of brings it to the table on this movie, and he kind of held his own with the powerhouses of Spacey and Freeman. I don't see where he was lacking in any of it.
Well, he became a reliable, up and coming young guy that could absolutely deliver, and he delivered on this one. I
Hmm.
agree completely. Well, he. We didn't really talk or touch on it, but there is a kind of a perverse tie-in with John Doe and Mills, that is there too. That you don't quite understand the John. It's not that he wants to be like a narcissist or whatever. It's just that the twisted extra effed up part of, I guess, of his character is that he wants to be understood.
Hmm.
And he has a way of doing these killings to be understood,
Hmm.
that leads up to where we're where we already
Yeah.
are, like that
Yeah.
that he plainly says it, to when they're having that conversation, like closer
Hmm.
to the reveal,
Yeah.
because he
Oh,
says it.
uh,
uh,
I was going to say this scene right here where they're in the bar. I love the scene because there's kind of like a meeting of the minds here. They kind of maybe if they don't see eye to eye, they at least see each other and
right.
see where they're both coming from. And there's throughout the whole movie they're calling each other by their last names. Mills, Somerset. In this scene, Mills calls Somerset Bill. So they call each other by their first name, and it's like,
Right.
there's that at least that tentative forming of a bond between them. That tends to happen whenever you're working together. And in fact, after this scene, it's that next day, and they're going into the police station, and Mills Somerset says, "Hey, I'm going to stay with this case to the end with you." And it's sort of
Right.
like maybe kind of maybe he's doing it more for himself than for Mills, but it's sort of like that olive branch of, hey, you're not in this alone.
Right.
I'm gonna stick with this. And so then before that bond could go any further, John Doe shows up and finishes out his evil scheme. And it was kind of interesting watching this movie after the two heist movies that we watched, because those movies they were done in a time where the bad guy couldn't win. And
Right.
this movie is kind of interesting in that, if you look at it, there's a case to be made that even though the killer ends up dead, it's all by his own design, and he kind of gets away with it. Um,
He does. He does.
yeah, and
No.
it's kind of hard to take, and I think that's why a lot of people kind of buck at it and want to change the ending when it was being written or trying to be made. It's an extremely dark ending, but I think that's what makes this movie. It's
Or couldn't be.
it's what it needs to be, because you've got plenty of movies where the good guys win.
Right.
This is an examination of darkness, and it's gonna take you to the darkest place. And by contrast, it's one of the brightest locations that they that they film at is where the darkness shows up. But it's kind of like this barren place. And then yeah, and there was kind of alternate endings, but yeah, this whole thing, the way that the conversation in the cop car, and then them going out to that location, just built with all this tension and weight, and then when you see the the UPS or FedEx guy coming down the street, you're like, oh gosh, what's this?
What
And
the
then
hell? Right.
right.
It disarms you a little bit because, like, what
Hmm.
possibly could this delivery van,
Yeah.
it pulls
But
up and throw it out.
yeah, is he in on it? And that's sort of like what they're kind of running through their heads. What's this? What is going on? And then there's the package, the box, and Freeman said that he's not sure if he nailed his reaction because he's never seen a head in a box before in his life, and he said he'd probably like another crack at it, but he doesn't feel like he quite maybe pulled off the emotion of seeing a head in a box, but but there you go. But yeah, they kind of played with alternate. One of they didn't film it, but one of the alternate endings was having Somerset shoot John Doe, and that way Mills could go on and live his life, and sort of like Somerset making the ultimate sacrifice to since his life's close to being over, in Mills has his life ahead of him, but that just doesn't. And Freeman kind of liked that ending. It just
It,
didn't work.
if this were a detective movie and it was really a detective movie, noir film, a true noir film, not a thriller, or psychological thriller, maybe that could have worked. But just the where you set, where you start, where you're going, and where you end up, it couldn't work. It had to be the personal, very very personal dance between John Doe and Mills,
Yeah, and
and that's
the
just the if you don't have it, then you don't have the movie. It just is as simple as that. Simple as that. The way that
right.
it ended.
Right, and and the producers wanted the dog's head to be in the box. one of
Okay, yeah.
one of Mills's dog's head. Like, yeah, it doesn't have the same impact. I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
And
that came later on with John Wick, but that's a little bit different.
right, yeah, that's
Way
that's
different
true.
movie. Yeah.
That's definitely true. And then you've got the tension of those helicopters flying, that helicopter flying overhead.
It's a showdown.
They were they weren't sure they're going to get that on the day of filming. They did not have the helicopter because they didn't have the money for it. The studio said, after the test screenings, if we feel like it's needed, we'll give you the money for it. Otherwise, no. And they said that the test screenings were a bit of a mess. The way they ended it, there's that scene at the end that they where Mills is in the cop car, and and Freeman character saying I'm going to stay on, and then he gives that Hemingway quote. That wasn't in the original cut. They hadn't filmed that yet. They hadn't added that. What they ended it with Mills shooting John Doe, and then it goes black. And then Fincher said his instructions was in the test screenings. when it goes black, wait 30 seconds before you bring up the lights, because he wanted it to set with the audience for that 30 seconds to go through their head and kind of soak in what happened. And then he went to the test screening, and then they were going, oh yeah, we'll do that. And then when it goes to it, obviously when they shoot, the lights go on and they start handing out the little test, questionnaires for them, to fill out. And and then he said that this group of women, they look like middle-aged teachers or whatnot. They come marching out of the theater past Fincher and Bob Shaw, who is one of the producers, and they said, whoever made this movie should be shot. And Fincher goes, maybe I've got something here. He found that quite entertaining. But yeah, evidently they felt like afterwards that they could afford a helicopter. They added that when they originally shot that, and you can kind of see it in that picture, that the field was actually very green. The grass was green, and then when they went to film in the helicopter, it was later in the season, and the grass was all yellowed and dead, and that's kind of what he wanted it to look like. So they had to color correct that scene, the earlier scene, to match that, and then they also added in that little coda at the end with Mills in the cop car, and they didn't mind that much, but that quote with Hemingway at the very end, no one likes that, except for the producers. But yeah, everybody that talked on it said that they didn't really care for that.
Yeah. This is one of those movies that you have to. It's out there. It's been out there for a minute, but it doesn't lose any of its punch, especially with you get to go back and see these younger versions of definitely still very active Morgan Freeman. So that's across time he's outstanding, and again he's just a giant. And Brad Pitt showed up and did his part. Gwyneth Paltrow again. Rock and a Hard Place, there's only so much room for that. It's also not the movie for it's just not. We just wouldn't. I mean, you could go into there and do it, but there's only so much you can kind of crank on it, and it's not that kind of movie anyway. It's just not that. It's just not made for that. But
yeah, it was kind of interesting when I saw it. I was close to Brad Pitt's age. And then watching it again now, Freeman was 57 when he made that. I'm closer to Freeman's age now, so I was like, it was kind of interesting seeing it from the two different perspectives of a younger man and then the older man that I am now. But yeah, I do recommend. There's a little bit of controversy over this 4K. Fincher looked over this. He did a wonderful job on the 2001, I think, DVD, which I had in my collection. Very well designed packaging on that original DVD. There was a Blu-ray. I forgot that I bought the Blu-ray. I was digging around in my stuff and I found it. I thought I went straight to the 4K, but yeah, the Blu-ray is just kind of a upscale of the DVD.
Oh,
but
right.
he actually went in on the 4K, and since it was going to be in high definition. He knew that some of the scenes wouldn't look as good. He cleaned stuff up, and I think he used AI, and some of the people kind of complain about it. I watched this movie, and this looks amazing to me, and if there's something wrong with maybe the telephone wires or those towers, whatever. I didn't see it. I didn't look at with the microscope. But yeah, it looks fantastic. The best I've seen it outside in the theater. I will want to show you the packaging. It's very cool. It's actually magnetized here, so that it kind of clips together, and then it has a little a little fold out. And then it folds out all the way.
Okay, that's cool.
The only crappy thing about it is the 4K's right there, and it's one of those little sleeves you have to dig in to pull it out. But otherwise, it's a very nice. I sent you a link to Orbit's copy of it. It's not that fold out. It's more of a clamshell case, regular, but I think it has the same stuff. There's the alternate ending and some extended deleted scenes that are kind of cool. The big meat and potatoes of the extras is there's 4 commentary tracks. We were planning on doing this last week, and I listened to the first 2, which was the story, which dealt with had like the Walker and Fincher and some of the guys talking about the story. There's the stars, which was Fincher, Pitt, and Freeman. And I watched or listened to those 2, which is very enjoyable. And I did. There's 2 others. There's the picture, which is with the cinematographer Fincher and some of the set designer, and then there's the score. So last night I went ahead and listened to the picture, and I just really didn't want to do the score, so I didn't do that one. I just noticed it's sold out at Orbit, so you may want. They do have a I think I saw there where there's a region free steelbook there, but yeah, I'm sure you could find standard editions on Amazon. I just didn't want to go to Amazon.
Right. Well, you're not the only person that feels that way. So,
but yeah, I'm sure you could find it somewhere out there. Still available. But yeah, it's definitely those commentary tracks are well worth listening to. Fincher always
that's
does
a good price too for high quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely recommend if you're into the physical media. But yeah, I think we're reaching the very tip of the end. But we do have a surprise for you.
We do, and I'm gonna pause it there, and I'll let you if you want to do a little roll up, or if you want me to just hit the button and play. I can.
Well, this morning I'm kind of going on a little sleep. If I was a little punchy, that's the reason for it. But yeah, this morning I was playing around. I listened to the commentary track, and I was listening to the guys talk about Head in a Box, and I thought, well, there's the other famous song from Saturday Night Live called "Dick in a Box," and I thought, is there a parody? That's a funny song, comedy song. Did anyone ever do a parody song of Head in the Box, kind of parodying and sounding like that about Seven? I looked and there wasn't one. I was like, there's a rich opportunity there, and so I went to my AI music tool and tried to do a parody song. I put in all sorts of little things. I didn't quite get there, but I think I came up with the banger, and I brought it to Mike, and he liked it too. So I thought I would share with you guys today. So yeah, let it play, Mike.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
It's got.
I walking clean, you smell the smoke. Black gloves on, but I still float. Greed in my eyes, pride in my chain. Wrath in my jaw when I say your name. Lust in the room like perfume spill. Sloth in the cold, but I move for the kill. Glutton for fear when the crowd all stare. Envy in my teeth when they breathe that air. 7 sins, 1 gram. Count him up, I let him in. 7 sins, 1 gram. When the door locks, I begin. Head in a box, head in a box. Say my name, then the whole room stops. Head in a box, head in a box. 7 sins and the clock just ticks. Head in a box, head in a box. I'm the joke that your life forgot. Head in a box, head in a box. Pray real quick, but it won't help much. Wait. Pride on my tongue when I talk that trash. Wrath like a spark when I move too fast. Greed got me smiling at what you got. Lust got you leaning when the lights go high. Sloth in my step but my hands don't shake. Envy in the cup for the mess you make. Glutton for the fear when you call my bluff. All 7 sins, yeah I live that stuff. 7 sins, 1 gram. Count 'em up, I let 'em in. 7 sins, 1 gram. When the door locks, I begin. Head in a box, head in a box. Say my name, then the whole room stops. Head in a box, head in a box. 7 sins and the clock just ticks. Head in a box, head in a box. Hey, joke that your name forgot. Head in the box, head in the box. Pray real quick, but it won't help much. I'm not your saint, I'm your stain. I wear the guilt like a gold chain. Pride, wrath, greed in a row. Lust and envy make me go. Head in the box, head in the box. Say my name, then the whole room stops. Head in the box, head in the box. 7 sins and the clock just ticks. Head in the box, head in the box. Ay, joke that your name forgot. Head in the box, head in the box. Pray real quick, but it won't help much.
Yeah. That's off the chain, man.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Yeah, I went through a few variations, and that one was the best, I think. There was kind of a country one. There was one where is a man and a woman. It was a kind of a love song. Even though I put in that it's I said a parody of the song "Dick in the Box," sung by the Killer of Seven, talking about the deadly sins.
Oh my God.
With the title "Head in the Box." But yeah, they kept trying to do an R&B kind of love song. Like, okay, no, I don't think that's what I want. But yeah, this one was the closest. There's a they always give you two versions, and there's like a remix that's actually pretty good too. But I think this one kind of nailed it, so I went with this one.
I agree. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Well, this is the fun thing. The you can add and mix. I'm glad we could share that with the audience. Like I liked it. I don't know that I'll be putting it on my rotation, but I might. It's one of those things that'll sneak in your head like a head in a box.
Yeah, I'll probably push it out, in a day or two onto X and on Facebook. So if you want to grab that, you can. I want this to hit the charts, man.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, get the dance going. Head in the box, head in the box. Head in the box. Or you do head in the box.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure Reddit will love it. Well, we'll see if Reddit loves it or not. But, see if Reddit loves us or not. We'll see. But
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But no, this is a very good intro to PsychoSummer, and we'll be back next week.
With a brand new killer.
Absolutely.
Or two.
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely. But I've been Mike.
I'm Tom. Watch out for those head in the boxes.